The US has accused China of conducting missile launches in the South China Sea, describing Beijing's actions as meant to intimidate. US media first reported the launches, citing unnamed Pentagon officials. Beijing had announced military drills but did not confirm the allegations that it launched missiles in the disputed waters. Taiwan, the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia and Vietnam all make claims to parts of the sea. China, however, claims a huge area known as the Nine-Dash Line and has been building military installations on artificial islands there. Ahead of the exercise, Beijing warned other ships not to enter a designated area between the Spratly and Paracel Islands for 5 days. Washington was aware of the Chinese missile launch from the man-made structures in the South China Sea, near the Spratly Islands, Pentagon spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Dave Eastburn said on Tuesday. He added that China's behavior was contrary to its claim to want to bring peace to the region, and obviously actions like this are coercive acts meant to intimidate other claimants to the South China Sea. The sea, home to vital shipping lanes, has in recent years become a flashpoint for tensions between China and other regional nations, which have overlapping claims over islands and reefs. China routinely accuses the US Navy of provocation and interference in regional matters. The US has long been critical of what it says is China's militarization of the region and routinely angers Beijing with freedom of navigation missions. As Washington and Beijing trade barbs over the coronavirus pandemic, a longer-term struggle between the two Pacific powers is at a turning point as the United States rolls out new weapons and strategy in a bid to close a wide missile gap with China. The United States has largely stood by in recent decades as China dramatically expanded its military firepower. Now, having shed the constraints of a Cold War-era arms control treaty, the Trump administration is planning to deploy long-range, ground-launched cruise missiles in the Asia-Pacific region. The Pentagon intends to arm its Marines with versions of the Tomahawk cruise missile now carried on U.S. warships, according to the White House budget requests for 2021 and congressional testimony in March of senior U.S. military commanders. It is also accelerating deliveries of its first new long-range anti-ship missiles in decades. In a statement to Reuters about the latest U.S. moves, Beijing urged Washington to be cautious in word and deed, to stop moving chess pieces around the region, and to stop flexing its military muscles around China. The U.S. moves are aimed at countering China's overwhelming advantage in land-based cruise and ballistic missiles. The Pentagon also intends to dial back China's lead in what strategists refer to as the range war. The People's Liberation Army, PLA, China's military, has built up a huge force of missiles that mostly outrange those of the US and its regional allies, according to senior US commanders and strategic advisors to the Pentagon, who have been warning that China holds a clear advantage in these weapons. And, in a radical shift in tactics, the Marines will join forces with the US Navy in attacking an enemy's warships. Small and mobile units of US Marines armed with anti-ship missiles will become ship killers. In a conflict, these units will be dispersed at key points in the Western Pacific and along the so-called First Island Chain, commanders said. The First Island Chain is the string of islands that run from the Japanese archipelago through Taiwan, the Philippines and on to Borneo, enclosing China's coastal seas. Top U.S. military commanders explained the new tactics to Congress in March in a series of budget hearings. The Commandant of the U.S. Marine Corps, Gen. David Berger, told the Senate Armed Services Committee on March 5 that small units of Marines armed with precision missiles could assist the U.S. Navy to gain control of the seas, particularly in the Western Pacific. The Tomahawk missile is one of the tools that is going to allow us to do that, he said.